Hey everyone, welcome to Love Your Body Podcast. I'm here with Jodi Suglio. Yep. I knew I was going to say it, mess it up.
Technically, it's Sulio. That's
Sulio.
how it's pronounced in Italian.
Okay.
But I am not Italian, so
Yeah.
Suglio it is.
Okay, Suglio. I like it. And for those who don't know, we've known each other for a very long time. So we can throw it back to what?
So this is hilarious because I was trying to do my research before I came in here and looked at my LinkedIn to see when it was that we worked at Prairie Life together.
Yeah.
And it was literally 10 years ago exactly. It was in 2014.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yes.
Literally like, geez,
So just,
10 years.
dating myself. It's fine.
No, dating, I mean, all of it. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
it was before Dandy Fitness. That was, And I mean, that is just crazy. So for those who don't know you, real quick, let's give a backstory of like, because you're not from here.
Right.
Yeah. Tell us all about that.
Yeah. So I am originally from Kansas.
Okay.
I moved here with my sister in 2005. She was wanting to come here to go to MTSU for school and, or to finish school and work in the music business.
Okay.
And I just wanted to get out of Kansas.
Yeah.
So,
okay. I get that. All right.
So I followed her, moved here in 2005 and, just basically kind of started my little career into the fitness business as a personal trainer. And then, I've done a lot of things since then.
Yes. Yeah. We're going to get into all of that.
But so I basically, like I said, moved here in 2005, worked here for a long time. I did move away just for a couple of years after I got married. My husband's work took us to Seattle for a year and then Boise, Idaho for a year.
Yeah.
And then we've been back here in Nashville since March of 2020.
Oh, wow. Was that when you got back?
We moved back the week everything closed. So it was...
Wow.
Yeah. We were so excited to come back to Nashville and see all of our friends and eat at our favorite restaurants and do all the things.
And that got shut down real quick.
Just kidding. Yeah. So.
Wow. I didn't realize that because honestly, that whole time was such a blur for me, like truly. And and so it was just so much was happening. And then I just remember like, that I thought I'd seen that you moved back and I'm like, I don't know, like what is she doing?
Yeah.
Where is she at? And everything like that. So you said that you actually we were around the corner from here. Is that where you first moved back?
Yeah. When we first moved back in 2020, we moved into a house over here in the Nations. So yeah. And then we built a house in Hendersonville and have been there. It'll be 3 years we've been in that house next month.
Okay. That's so exciting.
Yeah,
okay.
we love it.
I love that. So for being in Hendersonville, was that kind of like that was just where you could have land and build the house or
yes,
okay.
100%.
Okay.
We knew we wanted lots of elbow room.
Yes.
Not that we have we have we only have one bulldog now. We just lost one, but we have our dogs and then
and I'm so sorry about that.
I know. But yeah, we wanted the space and so we were kind of looking outside of Nashville to see kind of what felt right and we really weren't even planning on. I mean, we had kind of planned on moving south just because I had so much experience living out there and working out, in Franklin and but just kind of on a whim went out to Hendersonville and fell in love with it.
Okay,
so,
I love that. Yeah, the last time we saw each other was like what was it? Because we saw each other at that Music City Fit Con.
Yeah, not this summer, but last
2 years
summer.
ago.
Yeah.
So it's been 2 years, and then even before that, then it was like at least 6 years. I feel like right, like it was a long time. So that was crazy. So basically, you guys, before I started my business, I trained out of a, before that I was in, I guess a corporate gym. So Prairie Life Fitness. And I'm just going to let y'all know, Jodi was the best, like, I guess what were you like your personal trainer manager? Was that what it was?
I started off there just as a personal trainer and then moved into the personal training director or manager role.
Because the first before her was not great. And then anyway. And like, I just remember that so everybody knows my car is called Betty, okay? Yeah. But the original was Black Betty, and she was an Xterra. And I will never forget that your girl was like, I was doing the most. I was working at Healthways, I was working at Nissan, I was doing Prairie Life, whatever, going to teach classes, all the things. And I was rushing, and I was trying to get to a class before I had to get to Prairie Life to do some personal training. And I literally, a woman like slammed on her brakes as a minivan. So I swerved because I immediately thought kids, swerve. And then I like get around her and I was like, oh my gosh, yes, I made it. And there was the tail end of my backside was still out. A tractor trailer like just semi like ran over me basically and knocked me, out or whatever. And so it tore up the whole left side and blew my windows out, whatever. Anyway, all that happened. And my mom comes and picks me up, and I just like, I have to go to Prairie Life and tell Jodi what went down. And she was like, she's like, no, like we can just go home. I was like, because I'm like still living at home, commuting from Murfreesboro to Franklin every day. And I just remember like, I have to show up and tell her. And so I go in and I was like, I can't work today. I can't train people. And you were like so kind, and you like hugged me, and you're like, it's okay. Like, I'm sure she was like, this girl could have just called and it would have been fine. You know what I mean? Like, that was already in Franklin. It just happened down the road. I was like, we have to go to work. So anyway, and I was just so upset that day because like that was like the car I got when I was from high school, for my first car. So then it's like, okay, now we're gonna have a car payment. I was literally headed to somewhere where I was about to make $22 for teaching a class. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, this isn't going to work out that great for me. So anyway, so you were just so kind. And like, and I just remember that being like, I don't know, you were always just great. And it's just like, I know the little things, but it sat with me,
Thank you.
And you always were somebody I could talk to or was like approachable. And that was important because like when I first got there, it was a guy in charge of, managing stuff, whatever. And like, that was not a great dynamic and didn't feel like I could ever confide in them or, anything like that. And so you definitely brought that, energy.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That is something that I really like pride myself on being that kind of a manager because I just feel like that is the kind of environment that fosters growth for you guys or, for whoever I work with. And I just, I wouldn't be able to run a successful business without amazing staff.
Yeah.
And, staff will not, they'll be a lot more loyal and willing to come in and work every day when they know that there's someone there for them.
100%. And someone that like when you have stuff come up isn't going to judge you, isn't going to critique you, isn't going to like make you feel bad, but just like be like,
Life
hey,
happens,
I got you.
okay.
Yeah. Cause I needed to hear that. Cause like I would have gone to work. Like I would have kept training. You know what I mean? I would be like, Mom, you don't know anything. I have to go see my clients, but you're like, you need to go home. Like it's okay. Like, they'll be here. We'll figure it out.
Exactly.
And that was so cool. So, cause at that time I was like 20, I don't want to say 23 or 22, you know what I mean? So still very like impressionable and like really trying to like stand against the grain and like, do all my things.
I can do everything.
Yes.
Which, basically you can.
Yeah.
As you have proven time and time again. But
thank you for that. No, I definitely wanted to hear your perspective because I know like because I just recently had a family friend on here. So like when I reference back of like, I've known him since childhood. And like when I reference back to my childhood, it's like everyone's always hearing my perspective. And so he got to like tell, his perspective from what he saw. So what was something that you saw, me like when I was training there? Like was there anything that stood out to you? Was it that you like, what was kind of your perception?
Well, I just you're so passionate and you literally have been that way since day one. And also just real. And I think that people look for that a lot of times in trainers. I think that is not always the case.
Right.
But for people that are real and that are passionate and people, could tell pretty quickly that you kind of walked the walk and were really you were there for people.
Yeah.
And that's how I feel too. I've always been the same way too, is that, yes, it's a business, but also like we are there for people.
Yes.
And
I love that.
to help them get healthy. And so like that, you could just tell that was something that you had been passionate about for a long time. And also like, you're, just such a hustler. And obviously you've always been doing all the things all the time, but and that is so nowadays that's hard to find.
Right. Yes.
That's real hard to find now. So that was
crazy.
Just something that was super, super cool.
Well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. No, I definitely, like I said, it was nice to have at that time, just other females around that I could actually be like, okay, cool. Cause it was like on one hand, I was just like, yeah, like Jodi's one of them. So that was awesome. So I really appreciate that. And, but yeah, so you were there. How long were you there total at Prairie Life?
I think I was there for 3 years.
Okay.
And I had been personal training at a gym downtown for on and off about 6 years, because I also started in 2012. I went back to Lipscomb and got my master's. That was before Prairie Life.
Oh, okay.
So I went to Lipscomb, got my master's, and had actually worked in cardiac rehab at Vanderbilt for a little bit, because I thought I needed a big girl job.
Yeah, right. Yep.
And then, which it was a really good experience, and I'm so glad that I did it, because it also gave me a super cool perspective when I came back to the gym and was working with clients. And that's, part of the reason I had a lot of the clients I had at Prairie Life, older people, people that had some like precursor health things that maybe some other trainers just didn't have experience with. So it kind of, it set me apart, and I was able to help kind of a different, group of people.
Which was awesome.
Yeah.
So with that, so what was your master's in?
Exercise and nutrition science.
Okay, cool. At Lipscomb. And then from there, what, when you were growing up, because I've always liked your build. And I remember that too, when we were training and stuff and everything. And just cause strong legs, but and again, I'm not going to stereotype and think what I think you did when you were younger, but what sports did you play, or what was your fitness outlet?
I grew up in a very, very small Kansas town, 1 square mile, wheat fields on all 4 sides.
Okay.
So I literally did everything, because people had to do everything or we didn't have it. So I played volleyball, played basketball, ran track. I was in the band. I was in the choir, everything.
Okay.
But that's, in high school, I did volleyball, basketball, track.
Okay.
And then actually when I went to college, I went for a dance team scholarship, because I was on the dance team too. Sorry. I was on dance team in high school. Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And then was on the dance team. I went to school at Kansas Wesleyan for my undergrad in Kansas. And did dance team. And then my sophomore year, my roommates, who were basketball players, were like, hey, we're terrible. We need help. You played basketball. Will you just play with us?
Okay.
I'm I really don't think you know what you're asking, but I'll come. And I talked to my dance coach, and she was like, as long as nothing, whatever, with the schedules, fine. So I walked on to the basketball team my sophomore year at college.
Okay.
And, the second week of preseason, I tore my ACL.
Oh my gosh. Are you serious?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Were you just distraught because you couldn't dance anymore? And then
Yeah. Oh, so I ended up, did my surgery, did my rehab, all the things, came back, played 1 semester of basketball my junior year.
Yeah.
And, was back on the dance team as well, and just decided that was not my thing.
Yeah. You're I gave it a go.
I did it. Yeah. And then, just finished out college on the dance team. So.
Okay. That's super cool. I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Have you been to a Move Fit? Have you done Move Fit?
Yes. I mean, it's a long time ago. I feel like it was one downtown, right? The one that you did at 5th and Broad.
You went to that one?
I think, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
For real?
Uh-huh.
I'm it out. I
feel
don't know.
like the first one you did down there.
Okay.
Anyways.
Okay. Yeah, that's wild. Okay, awesome. I was about to say, I was like, oh, you guys tell me you did something.
I did a little booty shaking at the at the
Expo?
At the Expo, last summer.
That makes me so happy. I love that.
Yes.
A little bit. Everybody's always like, yeah, I show my booty around a little bit. It's okay. I'm like, yes, just jump in.
But literally, if my husband laughs because I all that dance team stuff is so far gone. I am not the dancer I used to be.
Oh, whatever. No, I just think that's so funny. I'm because I always I remember looking at your stature and everything. I'm like, man, she looks she could do some stuff. You know what I mean? Whatever that is.
But I've always really enjoyed exercise no matter what it was, whether it was sports or just working out with friends in the gym or whatever. I've just always enjoyed that. And also I love how I feel after I do it. Yeah. After I do anything that.
Are you only child, or do you have siblings? You said your sister.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is she younger or older?
She's 2 years younger.
Okay. And then, so we're was she active as well? And then your parents are active and
Actually, so my dad was, my mom was not.
Okay.
She just, at the time and the place that she grew up, she was an Army brat. So they moved a lot. So she didn't really have the opportunity to participate in anything like that. So she was not an athlete at all, but she was a singer. So I kind of got my like musicality and singing side from my mom.
Okay. I didn't know you sang.
Yes.
Okay.
I did. I went to Kansas Wesleyan on a dance scholarship and vocal music scholarship.
Okay. Wow.
And when my sister and I moved to Nashville, my dad was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, she's finally gonna be a singer." And I like, that was not it.
No.
I was like, "No, Dad, I want to be a personal trainer."
Yeah. And then how did they handle that? Were they kind of like worried about that at all, or were they just like, okay, go with it? Like,
no, I think they were. I mean, they were always. And I feel so lucky. Like they were really supportive of whatever crazy idea my sister and I had, like, you know, leaving our small town of Kansas to move to Nashville and figure out our life.
Right. And y'all didn't know anybody when you were here.
No.
Y'all just came.
Just came, the two of us.
And that was 2000 and...
We moved in 2005.
Okay. Gotcha. And then did she continue to sing or did she?
No, she actually, she went to MTSU for, and got a communications degree and then worked for a couple years with the local Fox News channel here.
Oh,
she was a TV producer.
Cool.
And then got hired on by GAC, Great American Country, to do, she helped produce like their top 20 countdown and some different shows like that for them.
Okay.
And then she actually got, I'm trying to think what year that was. She got laid off because they kind of quit doing a lot of that type of programming and started moving to reality TV, as all of them did. And that was like perfect timing because she thought, okay, I'm just going to like go back home and stay with my dad for a little bit in Kansas until I figure out what the next thing is.
Right.
That's when my dad was diagnosed with cancer. And so it was just like totally a God thing. Like she... You know, so she's ended up staying in Kansas and helped to take care of him for 8 years.
Okay. Gotcha. And
she's still in Kansas.
She's still in Kansas.
Yep.
Okay.
And doing amazing. She works for the cutest little online Western boutique.
Oh, nice.
Savannah Sevens. Shout out.
Yeah, give a little shout out. I like it.
Yep,
yeah.
They're so cute. I mean, it's literally this cute little online boutique only. The gal started it herself and has a big warehouse on their farm in Kansas.
Nice.
It's super cool. So anyways, she is their social media manager, does all the stuff for that, and just really loves it. So
I love
you know,
that.
Things happen for a reason. And
for sure. No, I definitely get that. And so when you came back, so you came here right in 2020, and you like, what was that feel? I mean, what did you do? Because like, did you come, like when you decided to come back, did you have a job lined up?
So at that time,
because we left Prairie Life, it was 2017, or I left, 2017, and then you left 2000.
It was like right around that time too, because
because when you left, I was kind of like, I need to get out. Like I was
and the crazy thing is too, I mean, that's about when, you know, Lifetime was getting ready to open.
Yes.
And Prairie Life ended up closing.
Yeah.
So I just remember reaching out to a lot of you guys just to see what, you know, if everybody was okay and what, you know, where everyone landed. And but that's we had moved to Seattle, or you know, they moved us to Seattle, and so I was in Seattle when all that went down. But.
No, it was so funny because everybody was so concerned that was where I was going, and because I knew that because if people don't remember, like I was hired by the CEO of Prairie Life.
Right.
So like I knew, like I had him on whatever, and he was like, yeah, like this isn't going to be like, anyway, Lifetime's coming in, we're going to be selling this. And so like I knew before, you know, anybody was talking about it. So it was one of those things where I was like, I got to have an exit strategy, but I knew I didn't want to work at Lifetime because I was just like, no. Yeah. And so that was kind of like all right, this is my sign to do my own thing. Let's see what happens, whatever. But that was such a big controversial thing that everyone's like, are you going to Lifetime? And they like, all was like, no. Yeah. And, you know, and it was just like no support in that, you know, it's kind of like, okay, well, good luck with whatever you're doing. Like it was very like outwardly, like when I left, it didn't feel very, very positive, you know? And it was really like, karma's going to kind of get You know what I mean? And then it ended
Yeah.
up closing.
Right.
And it was just like, yeah, it sucks. But anyway, I think there's a lot of things when you talk about how like your managerial style was that just were not passed along, and we're not like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
In that,
I mean, everyone has their own, their own thing, and that is what it is.
Yeah.
Which is fine.
Yeah.
And you will always figure out, everybody's going to work for somebody that they really enjoy working for, and they really don't enjoy working for.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's a good thing, because then you can learn from that and be like, okay, either A, I do or don't want to work for this person or this type of person or manager
100%.
again, because, or if, when you become the person who has people underneath you and you are the manager, you can remember.
Yes. No, that's
Okay.
exactly. Yes. No, that's exactly
Yeah.
right. And it keeps you very aware of like what I don't want to take with me, but what I learned from it, in good and bad way. So no, it's awesome for sure. It was a big learning experience, definitely, being there. And so do you still connect? 'Cause I know you're very much, back in the fitness community and trying to get to, because when you came back, like, okay, so it's 2020. Let me get started there. It was 2020. And then what did you do? Like, were you right into a gym, or was it like?
Initially, I had, because the owners or the managers of Prairie Life were going to do another type of gym. And so initially I had come back thinking I was going to help with that.
Oh, okay.
But obviously, COVID just was COVID, and, things did not work out. So I ended up just kind of hanging out and for a little bit, and then got connected with a small boutique fitness studio in Brentwood that was getting ready to open.
Okay.
That was it was called Eat the Frog Fitness, if you remember that.
Yep.
Everybody was like, "What is that?"
Is it still happening?
No,
I didn't.
No,
Okay.
I didn't make it. But so I helped open that studio like in July, I think, of 2020.
Okay.
Which was kind of wild.
Yes.
Again, more learning.
Right.
More learning, because, to open a studio during that time was like, some people thought it was not a good thing, and other people were like, yes,
like we need this.
We need this. Exactly. So,
okay.
So that was kind of my like dabble into smaller like boutique fitness.
Okay.
And so I was there for almost 2 years, I think.
Oh, wow.
Before that, and then we kind of that was when we started building our house in Hendersonville.
Nice.
And then I moved I actually took a job with Pure Bar in Hendersonville, who I am now back. I'm
Okay, so
there
you're
again.
Back there again. Yeah. I tried to keep up because
I know. It's hard.
No, it's okay. It's
Basically,
good.
that means I'm old because I've done a lot of stuff.
No, you're not, girl. You're not. But no,
Lots of life experience over here.
So you were so you went to Pure Bar, and then I think it was was there a couple other studios in between, like Stride, right?
Yeah. So I was at Pure Bar. I took the position to help open Stride. That was another like super cool learning experience, because it literally was building a studio from scratch. And the owners kind of wanted to be more hands off, and they just were like, hey, you have the experience, you make the decisions and make it work.
Yeah.
Which was kind of scary, but also like really cool, because
Super
I had
cool.
not had I hadn't got the opportunity to really start something from the ground up.
Yeah.
So did that for like, basically it actually, just because of the COVID backup, starting a new business in Nashville is, just all the construction permitting and everything was just a nightmare.
Yeah.
So it actually took a year to do the full build out of the studio.
Yeah.
And then actually this week they are celebrating their 1 year anniversary.
Okay.
So I'll be back over there for
a
few things. Yeah. But at the same time, like also, 2 years of driving between Hendersonville and Nashville, and that's gotten increasingly more difficult because, everyone and their friend is moving here, and traffic is wild, and to do it right, like I just wanted, I wanted to and needed to be there all the time.
Yeah.
I felt like, another like key learning piece,
Yep.
I think for me about myself was, I just thought like I needed to be there every second,
Right.
or something wasn't going to be,
Yeah.
the way it was
everything
supposed to
gonna
be.
fall through.
But that really was not it.
No.
That was not the truth. And I think the longer I was there, because I started getting burnt out, just being there, driving back and forth between Nashville and Hendersonville twice a day.
Yeah.
Occasionally 3 times a day, like
Yeah.
just because also you're not only running the studio, but you're also promoting it, you know, so you're doing events and run clubs and all the, just all the things. So
no, people
you don't know anything about.
Oh no, definitely not.
Yeah.
But no, it is interesting because it's so funny because it felt like when I was in Prairie Life, like that everybody was like right there in Franklin, and I was the outsider because I was coming from Murfreesboro to there every day.
Oh yeah, that's
and
right.
and I was like, your girl's not like, I was like, I'm not driving back and forth because one, I didn't have the money for gas to be able to do that,
crazy,
and so it was like back then, and so I just remember I would sit there and be there for like 16 hours. Like there's sometimes where I'm like, it was absurd. You know what I mean? I'm like, I need a nap somewhere. I was like, if I could just have somewhere to nap, I'm straight. Like this would be awesome because I was just so exhausted.
Yeah.
And because I'd have a client at like 6 a.m. and then not went till 6 p.m. or something,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
And it was like, what do you do at those hours? Could I have gone back? Yes. But I was like, no, and it was like my parents' house and like, so I was just trying to like do the thing. But yeah, like in that drive, it will wear on you.
Yeah.
And it's just,
Yes.
and that was,
I feel like that's more than anything.
Yes.
Just the car time alone.
Yeah.
Was brutal.
Yes. And that's where too, like, I would always like take meetings or take phone calls or whatever. And I would eat my
Constantly.
meals all the time in the car, driving and back and forth. Now I do that way less, which is great. But I just remember being like, no, I won't get home till 10 o'clock and I gotta be back up at 4 a.m. And like, so it was like, I gotta eat now. And so it was really just a very isolating time in that, because then too, people were like, hey, we're all gonna go for a drink or we're all gonna go out. I was like, I gotta drive back.
I'm so tired.
Yeah. And I was so tired that I didn't make it a priority to do that, and so that was hard. And then I was then training down the road at a personal training studio, like, and doing Deity Fitness there. And then I was still driving, and then I ended up going to Nashville to start working at the other personal training gym. So I was doing both. So I was going from Murfreesboro to Franklin and Nashville every day.
And that is one thing that I think people don't realize is that to be successful in the fitness industry, you have to hustle.
Yeah.
Like that, whatever that looks like.
Right.
It might be somebody who's personal training for a living and working at 3 different gyms or doing stuff one-on-one outside or coaching kids or, whatever it is, or, if you're in your own studio, I mean, it is a grind.
Yeah.
And it's hard, but we are passionate about people and helping. It's so funny. Like, you're so passionate about helping everyone else get in their healthiest, best life. And then you're like stuck in the car for 3 hours every day, eating while you're driving. Like,
yeah, I do. I totally get that. Do you ever feel like, along this journey, have you ever felt just like any type of like resentment or type of like, man, I wish I could put myself first, like trying to figure that all out,
Yeah. I mean, I think it's just like a constant kind of like battle on, okay, I really know I need to like do this from, or I would feel a lot better if I did this, but then I really need to take care of all these things first. And so it's just like, but I do also feel like, and part of the reason I made the decision to go back to the Pure Barre studio now that I'm at 2 miles from my house.
So nice.
Was that I wanted that, I wanted my life back for
yourself
me.
first.
Yes.
Yeah.
Myself, my family, like what,
Yeah.
I just like, I knew it was time. Like I had done all the things and built up an amazing team.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for listening to the Love Your Body podcast on YouTube and Spotify. And guys, if you feel like these podcasts resonate with you, please share them with friends, family. And if you haven't got a chance yet to check out my new book, How to Love Your Body Throughout, on Amazon, please check it out. It is a short read, but there's so much content in it. There's tools and things that are going to help you to love yourself more each day. So I'd love to be that support for you. via book. And yeah, and you guys also can check out online programming, in-person training, virtual training, whatever it might be. I'd love to help you within your journey. And also, please make sure to check out some Fight Energy on my website, danityfitness.com, and follow along with the journey, Dandy Fitness 1, or Dandy Fitness, 1 on everything. So thanks.
Thank you guys so much, Danny, for letting me be on the podcast today. If any of you are in the fitness industry and you're looking for just to talk through some different things, guidance, whatever that may be, I absolutely love mentoring all the people and all the things. So I am Jodi Suglio 1017 on Instagram. So I also post a lot about things that I love or people that I love that I've found that have helped me through things. So you can check that out. If you're in the Hendersonville area, come check us out. Pure Bar Hendersonville, shout out. And we'd love to see you.
So interesting, right? Because when it comes to like putting yourself first, like I do feel like with personal training, and you tell me how you feel about this, like I feel like it is one of the most underrated jobs and careers out there.
Yeah.
People use us as therapists.
Absolutely.
They use us as their best friend. They use us as like, I mean, all these different things, right? And which is great because I'm a servant. I feel like you are as well. Like, we both are in our faith and everything. And so it's like, this is our purpose, but people speak on it and talk about it like it's lower. It's like the lowest thing you can be. And it's like, excuse me? And I hate that.
Yeah.
I absolutely, so just a personal trainer? Bro, I'm changing people's lives.
Right.
But like, yeah, sure. But that's why I always will be like, I own my own personal training business. Like I'm a brand owner. I'm like again.
But you don't have to say it. You shouldn't have to say that.
Exactly. It shouldn't. But it's one of those things of like, it's always been kind of looked down upon. And I've never understood that.
I felt that.
Right?
Yeah, I for sure felt that.
Yeah. And I wonder like why that is. You know what I mean? And I think it's because humans, we get a little sassy here for a minute. I think because humans think that they, right? I know. But like, I think that they think that we should be able to do it on our own in every aspect, with everything, that we are invincible. We can grind till we fall, until we burn out. Like we can do all these things where, so it's like when we have to have help, it's almost like but like you don't look down on, I mean, even like chiropractors or other things, I'm just like, nobody looks down upon, but it's always like the personal training. And I will always get this comment, and I don't know if you get this too, but like at expos or events, and it'll never be said to me, but it's said to like my team, and be like, so like, what else does she do? And they're like, literally so much, but all of this. Right. And or they'll be like, well, like, what does she do for work? They're like, what are you talking about? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, the sad thing is most of us had to do other things because you don't get into the fitness business, to make money. That's for sure. At least not as just a personal trainer. I mean, like I said, most people who are personal training ended up, doing it at multiple places to actually make a living. Yeah. But it's such a bummer because, I mean, it takes a special person to have all the education that you need to have to be able to help someone move their body correctly and healthfully. And then B, also, be able to have that kind of like personal connection where you can connect with your client and make them comfortable to be able to do to get do the work that they need to do to get themselves healthy physically and mentally and spiritually sometimes, like you know what I mean, like so it does take a special person. So
but I said,
boo on those people.
I know, but seriously, and it's
because it's a special, I really do feel like it's a gift for us to be able to do that and help people and make them feel comfortable and confident working out again.
Yes. And I think people so generalize it as like everyone's a trainer nowadays. You know what I mean? And that's where it's like, no, they may call themselves that. Yeah. But they're not what is encompassed in like what you just spoke on. You know what I mean?
It takes a lot of education and a very certain personality. Yeah. And work ethic to be
Yes.
a really good trainer.
Right. And yeah, so it's like I said, I've always, I like having other female trainers on here, because again, just kind of like, I think we always get the end of the stick on it, like, oh, it's like, whatever, and kind of the negativity with it. And so I do want to ask you, like, do you ever feel like, within the Nashville market, like what are some things that you've seen? Like, cause you came, you were here, then you came back and stuff like that. Like what's been the biggest like takeaway with, starting studios, running studios, things like that? Like, is it,
Gosh. I
yeah.
don't even know if I can narrow it down to one thing.
I was about to say, there's probably so much. You can elaborate however.
I mean that like the word that just like keeps coming to me is it's a grind. It just like, and especially now Nashville is so oversaturated with fitness studios and gyms and, celebrity trainers and all these different things, which, is great because I do feel like it's opening up maybe a lot, giving more opportunities to people who maybe wouldn't get to experience, fitness in a positive way.
Right.
So that's a good thing. But then at the same time, in order to be successful, you really have to double time it almost, as a trainer or manager or whatever, so that your business is seen and known and it's successful.
Yeah. And that is the thing too, is like what I wanted to ask you, because I've always wondered this. I've never worked with a franchise model, right? But like, so, is it that they like hire you and it's like, here's your salary and then like, here's our budget of what we have. And so just rock with it. Like you can go and do these events or you can do, you know what I mean? Like kind of freedom.
Different. Everybody's different. Every franchise is a little bit different. And also, I mean, it's not the franchise that's hiring usually their manager and the trainers. It's usually the owner of, whoever the franchisee is.
Okay. Yeah.
So every location is usually owned by someone different. And so they are technically the ones that, have that. And so, and some people, I have worked for, owners or franchisees that are, they know what they want. They know what they think they know what they need.
Yeah.
And they're very specific about, here's your budget, here's this, here's that, work within these confines, whatever. And then if if you need other things or as things come up, we'll work together and figure that out. And then I have also worked for owners that were just like, hey, go make us money. We don't know how to do it, so we're hiring you to do it, and you just figure it out, and there you go.
Do they usually have like projections of like what they think they should make?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
And the actual franchise will typically work with the owners before they open or come into the franchise.
Yeah.
There's usually a good amount of training.
Yeah.
For before that happens.
Because just like my perspective on it from the outside looking in, again, I have not worked for a franchise or anything like that, but is that like I don't really feel like they do make money, like, you know what I mean? As
in the franchisee, like the owner.
Yeah.
It's definitely tough.
Yeah. Because you see a lot of turnover. I mean, I remember so many people that I even would work with events where it's like, I had a whole spreadsheet of like sponsors.
Yeah.
The next year, it's a whole nother list.
Yeah.
And I'm like, who, like, what happened to Becky, or whatever, like where, why, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is so even prominent today when I'm like an influencer for people's like franchises, like, it's like I was originally talking to 3 people and now one of them's only there, like that they're the only one left, and it's like what, you know what I mean? There's so much turnover.
I think another thing in the fitness industry is that as we well know, I mean, it's people are extremely underpaid.
Yeah.
And so big businesses will say, hey, you should be making this amount of money, and so here's what we think you should pay your trainers. But and that is one thing that like large franchise companies, they don't always take into consideration where they have their model, the franchise model that they roll out, cut, copy, paste, whatever, roll it out to all the people. But they don't always take into consideration, okay, what worked in California or New York may not work in Kansas or Tennessee or, big city, small city, like it's
a
not
good
all
point.
the same.
Yeah.
So that can be difficult.
For sure.
But then also, there are some, franchises that are super supportive
Yeah.
and have really great teams. And so it's kind of all over the map.
Yeah. Would you be able to say what's been your favorite so far? Like, have you had like they've all been so different.
Honestly, I will say that I don't want to say a favorite, but my favorite thing about being a manager, in especially like boutique fitnesses
Right.
is just literally getting to build a team and then see them grow.
Yeah. And that's what you do
see
so
where, where they are now.
Yeah.
That has been one thing that, again, like I've had some feedback on like, oh, what, why is she still doing that? Like, again, like what, shouldn't she be like getting a real job or something, where
Right.
like, because managing a fitness studio isn't whatever.
Yeah.
But like that really is, that quiets the noise for me because
Right.
I get to see not only, any of the members that come to my studio
For sure.
come in and make, amazing changes,
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, all the things, but then also to see my team
Yeah.
just grow and change and learn and cry and
Yeah.
laugh and like, all the things that I obviously like went through at the beginning and I'm,
Yeah.
still go through it, but just to see other people and to help them learn and grow too.
I love that. So now that you're kind of in the season of, like you said, moving closer to your, house and everything, which is great. And obviously, me, like the same thing with me.
Yep.
And it's a game changer for sure.
Yes.
And so just for overall health, mentally, physically, spiritually, everything. So with that, like, do you have your own, like what do you do for your workout regimen? Like, cause you've tried so many things, you've had to with all of your stuff. Like, do you have, like, are you more focused on strength training right now? Do you run? Like, what's kind of that? What does that look like?
I still kind of do everything.
Yeah.
And I also kind of listen to my body more
Yeah.
and listen to myself. And, some days I just need to take a walk in my subdivision and just like quiet down and, just relax and walk through the neighborhood. And then other days I'll, go to, take a class at my studio at Pure Barre and, that's more focused on, smaller things and more
Right.
core strengthening and stuff like that. And then I'll either come into town back to my Stride studio or go to Orange Theory or, and I'll run it out or, so
right.
I still really enjoy doing everything, or just doing different things all the time.
Well, and also you mentioned about like your age and everything like that.
Yeah.
How old are you?
I'll be 45 this year.
Okay. But
no, it's fine.
But
That's
like,
good.
again,
I'll be 45 in October.
Yeah. And like, I would never have guessed that. Like, not that that's old or anything like that, but just,
Right.
you know what I mean? But I knew I was like, yeah. But the reason I bring that up is because the fact that you're sitting here saying that you love to do all the things and can do all the things, even with a major knee, surgery. And I don't know, you've probably had some other injuries along this time. Like,
I mean, that was really the only major one.
okay. Well, that's great.
Yeah.
But so it's like, okay, so even doing with
Knock
that,
on wood.
It's right. Well, it's like, that you are able to do different things. And that was something too, like when I was, starting even like around Prairie Life time, like I started really like running during that time and, doing the group classes and whatever, but like running was the thing. And then, that turned into then strength training and running and like lifting and then got into strongman and then I've done bodybuilding, so it's not that I've been like lost in anything. It's that like I've genuinely enjoyed all of those things within each season, and so that's where I think that people get it misconstrued of like, that they are going to be in this one thing forever.
Right, exactly. And I literally say this all the time, and I would say this to people coming in to, all my previous studios and even my studio now, is like when someone's coming in to try the workout for the first time, like don't stress, like just find what you enjoy.
Yeah.
And that might be different tomorrow or in a month or in a year, or it might be the same. Like just whatever it is, just find whatever type of movement you enjoy and feels good for your body.
Right. Yeah.
Whatever that is.
Have you thought about, I just thought about this about the franchise thing. And I wanted to ask you, have you thought about like buying your own franchise? Like,
I have.
Yeah?
Yes. And
Or
I
would
think,
you?
Yeah. I mean, my husband and I have actually talked about that.
Yeah.
And I think at some point we might,
Okay.
stick our toe in the water and like actually do it, because we always laugh that, he's like, I've never met anyone that has worked so hard to make other people money.
Right. Yes. Yeah.
And I'm like, well, that's true. So, at some point, I think it would be cool to, own my own place.
Right.
Whatever that, looks like.
Yeah.
But until then,
Yeah.
I'm just going to keep working hard for other people.
Okay. I just, curious.
Yes,
Just
yeah.
wondering,
Yeah. The thought has crossed my mind a few times, for sure.
I got you.
Yeah.
Because, you've had so much experience. So it's like you really could,
Yeah.
navigate.
I could write a book on it.
Yeah. I'm all for that.
Yeah.
Like, just came out with my first book. So
Yes.
it's like, and again, I think that people, like I said, like that was always such a barrier for me because I just didn't really understand it. You know what I mean? And like understand why then people would like sell them so quickly and like why they weren't successful. And I'm like, man, you literally have this model that's already like up and stuff like that. And so because you see a lot of times people just like not going out in the community and just expecting people to walk through the door.
Yes.
And it was always so like, I'm like, man, you have everything. Like, and especially when I was coming up and trying to like get clients and get my name out there. I'm like, and so that's why I would always be like, okay, cool. Like they're at that event. Like that shows at least that they care about the community.
Right.
Or being present or whatever.
I think that might be another thing too. Like some people think, okay, I have my franchise. Like it's just like I have all the things I need. Now it's just going to happen.
Right.
But it literally doesn't. I mean,
No.
it still takes so much work and so much, you have to, I mean, that's another thing about, especially being in Nashville, because there are so many gyms, like you have to get out in the community.
Yeah.
You have to be seen. You have to sponsor things. You have to, you just have to. And also when you do, it's only going to help, when people are coming in and they see that you are actually supporting other local businesses in the community and just like supporting each other.
Right. And it's huge. And that's the thing too, is like where I try to tell my girls where I'm like, I pretty much have tried everything. You know what I mean? Whether it's like the energy bar, that's the protein shake, or it's the whatever, Yeah. So I'm like, use the people that I have that I actively use or that I recommend or whatever, because they are going to help you. You know what I mean? Because I use them.
Yeah.
So it's like I have that firsthand experience. I can tell you. And so it's like, I've been able to send a lot of people to my chiropractor. I've been able to, to my massage therapist, because again, they're small businesses, helping make them money, because it takes a team, it takes community. Right. And then I'll just always ask them, I'm like, just again, you don't have to send people in terms of training, but be like, literally tell them about fight, or be like, I drink this because they do. You know what I mean? Or I'm like, hey, if you see somebody who's constantly being negative about their body, hey, actually, my friend wrote a book, you should check it out. It's called How to Love Your Body Throughout. That kind of stuff. And that goes beyond so much more than just even me talking about stuff, you know what I mean? Or me trying to promote whatever. Oh yeah. And that's where it's again, those partners are huge.
Yeah. Referrals are everything.
Yes.
Also, and if you are out and you're making a positive impression in your community, then people are going to talk about that in a positive way, and it's going to come back to you.
Yeah, exactly. I did want to know this because I don't think I ever met Tony as your husband, right? Yeah. I don't think I ever met him. I never remember seeing him come by the gym and everything. So how did you guys meet? What's that like? Is he into fitness? Is he?
We actually met at a CrossFit gym.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. CrossFit Love.
Was that where was that?
It was here in Nashville.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It was right over here in this area. It used to be called CrossFit Barefoot.
Okay.
It's CrossFit Breakthrough now.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So we met there, and you know how CrossFit people do. We all start hanging out together because you have similar because you have similar goals, and so that's literally how it started, and and then we found ourselves slowly starting to meet outside of the group, and
Okay. How old were you when you guys met?
Let's see. 36.
Okay.
35.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're about to have our 9-year anniversary.
Oh, wow.
Of being married.
That's
so,
exciting.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
So you guys met, and then how quickly was it after that you got married?
So we dated for a year and were engaged for a year.
Okay.
And then, yeah. So basically 2 years.
Okay.
But we knew, I mean, I feel like once we started hanging out away from the group,
Right.
like we knew really quickly, especially because, you know, I'm 6 years older than he is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm quite the cougar, but no. But, you know, we both kind of were a little bit older, I think, when we met.
Right.
And so, like, we knew pretty quickly that,
Okay.
I think just because we had waited for a while anyways, you know, we had dated other people, you know, seriously, but not when, you know, we knew pretty quickly that that we were the ones.
Yeah. I love that. So was there ever, like, had you wanted kids? Had y'all tried, or were you just like, we got our bulldoggies and we're good? Like,
yeah, I was always that. I had always felt that way. I just, kids kind of weren't my thing. And I thought, oh, maybe if I meet the right person and they really want to do it, maybe they can talk me into it. But I've just never, I've never been a baby person.
Yeah.
I've just never wanted that.
Okay.
I like kids. I mean, my first job out of college, I actually was a PE teacher.
Okay.
So there's another thing
Yeah.
I did. Yeah. So I was a K-5 PE teacher for my first job out of college. So I mean, I enjoy them.
Yeah.
That was never my thing. And when we met, we kind of talked about that, and he was like, I mean, maybe, but he traveled a ton for work and really enjoyed traveling and kind of brought me into that world too. And I hadn't got to travel very much before, but we started traveling a lot together. And so that's just kind of, you know, we were like, okay, well, if you just change your mind, like, let's have a conversation.
Okay.
But we have never changed our mind.
I gotcha. Yep. You were on the same page.
Yeah.
And like, okay, I love that. So, in terms of like, do you know what like Enneagram you are, by the way? Have you ever taken that test?
I have not. I probably should, because I know it's like such a thing, but
no, it's just interesting because I barely know anything for whatever, but we used to talk about it with, a couple of the other girls who've been on, the podcast and stuff.
Yeah.
And just like, you know, there's like the achiever, the challenger, you know, people pleaser. You know, there's all different ones and whatever.
Oh, that sounds familiar.
And and so it's always
whatever
just,
number that one is.
Really?
The people pleaser. That's
you think
probably
that's you?
Me. Probably.
Really? Okay.
I don't know. I'll have to do more research. That'll be my homework after this.
Yes. Yeah. You can say some of them are shorter and some of them are whatever. But like I go back and forth about it because it really depends on like your state of mind. Because I view ourselves as like, you know, as we have a higher self and we have a lower self. Okay. So I'm not saying it's good or bad or whatever, but it's just like we have, it is. And so, you know, there's times where if I'm in my lower self moment, then some maybe insecurities are going to come out, or maybe I'm going to be feeling like I'm not enough or whatever. And when I do that test, it's going to portray one thing.
Right.
Versus if I'm like my higher self and I take it, and then it's like, oh, boss chick, rocking it. Like, you know what I mean? And then it's like, oh, yes. So
are you taking it for how you really are or how you want to be?
Exactly.
You know?
And I think that some people project that and then they don't know their own self.
Right.
So it is a very interesting, but you should take it and let me know what that says. But yeah, like going on to that and looking into that, it's like, are there any things that you have done besides like certifications, like that like have helped you just like grow in like who you are? Like, do you journal? Do you do like, what are some of your outlets? Are you like starting to get into those now because you have this like self?
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or want to get into?
I have never, I mean, it's kind of funny. I've never been a journaler. That wasn't ever my thing. I just have always enjoyed being with people and around people and kind of like talking through. And I think just like working with other people and helping to coach and mentor has been something that I've loved doing, especially as of late.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's, you know, maybe telling other people, you know, what I did right and what I didn't do right is how I, you know, lay that all out, or, you know,
I love that.
That's my outlet, I guess. I don't know.
Well, helping people and serving and stuff like that. And I think that, you're right in that season where, because like, for example, for me, like when because my health was starting to like have issues with the whole bodybuilding stuff. And so basically like I was like using the gym, the OIB as like my own thing. And everybody saw videos and like, well, I want to come. And I'm like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like you can come in, like whatever. So clients and stuff. And so like they were the ones that asked about it. We didn't even have air conditioning yet.
Right.
And we up in there just like going in like summer, you know?
Yeah.
And I was like, man, this would be so great. Cause I was waking up at like 3:30 in the morning. I was like going to like the gym I was training out of. I mean, it was such a rush. It was impacting all my meals. Like it really like wore me down.
Yeah.
And so finally, like when I started asking my clients, I was like, well, would y'all want to come here? It was really for like a health concern for me. Cause I almost was like, I really can't even ask. I'm just gonna like be like, I have to do this, you know?
Yeah.
And so when I did that and then being able to have like Logan come and do the podcasting here, it really was from a health perspective, mentally and physically, just like I needed that. And so, you know, it's given me time though now to like be like, oh, let me write the book I always wanted to write. Let me figure out, you know, what I, you know, want to do when it comes to how I serve the Lord. Like, let me figure out, like, is there more community events that I can be doing? Like stuff like that. It gives you that time, you know, that I wasn't driving anymore. I couldn't use that as an excuse or, you know, whatever. Right.
Yeah.
And so that is where I feel like you'll be able to be like, oh man, like actually have a moment to breathe.
Right.
Because if you're listening here and like you have a 9-to-5 job, then like, you know, whatever. But when you got to grind like this, I mean, someone asked me, they're like, oh, so you train like 7 days a week? It's like, no, I don't train 7 days a week, but like I work every day because because again, that creativity, there's always a new thing I could be doing. There's a new person I could be reaching out to. There's a, you know, a potential maybe collab, this or that, you know what I mean? There's so many things.
All the social media stuff, like, you know, especially if you are, you know, running a business or running your own business or someone else's. I mean, there's just our lives are so social media intertwined, whether, you know, negative or positive, whatever.
Yeah.
It's just the way it is. So you're constantly, you know, you're doing your own posts, you're liking other people's posts, you're, you know, looking for people that might potentially want to work with you. You're, you know, looking for businesses you might want to partner with. So yeah, I mean, that's a whole nother kind of time suck too.
Avenue in itself. Yeah. Because that's another thing too, that I had to create a lot of boundaries within, you know, now I have a system and have automations and it's so nice. And like, yes, it was expensive and it was, you know, a whole thing, but at the end of the day, it was worth it because it was just too much, you know? And we kind of live and learn that way. Yes.
I mean, it's like we do all the things until we almost can't do all the things.
Right.
And then we have to start figuring out where we can, you know.
Well, and I wanted to ask you, like, do you ever deal with, because I've asked men and women on this podcast, like, do you ever deal with that whole feeling of like that you're not enough or that you're not doing enough?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Always.
Yeah.
And I feel like I just finally am kind of getting to the point where I'm like, I'm able to say, yeah, you are.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have done enough. And it's okay to like take a breather and take a break and do something that's just for you.
Yeah. Where do you think that switch was? Like, where do you think you what allowed yourself to start saying that to yourself?
I just think that I think for a long time, I have just always been like kind of all or nothing. Like and very little nothing. Like almost just, you know, every single, you know, I would work, you know, most of the jobs that I've been with, I've been for, you know, I'm usually there and stay there for a good amount of time, 2 years plus. And so when I'm there, I'm all in.
Yep.
I, you know, eat, breathe, sleep, you know, everything about that, you know, those members, those clients, you know, that job, whatever it is. And then, you know, and then I kind of immediately jump into the next thing. And when I find something else, then I'm just doing the same thing. And so I think once especially you know, just while I was at Stride, just with all the driving and everything, like I kind of finally started feeling it add up. Yeah. And I wasn't sleeping well. And like, just, I would, you know, wake up in the middle of the night at 2 a.m. and have to like, I think I caught myself like checking to see if we got any Instagram messages or something. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah, that was me. Yes. Oh yeah.
You know, my husband would roll over and be like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, oh, well, yeah. Okay. Well, maybe
Yep.
this is,
Yeah.
you love it too much, or, or just,
Right.
you just kind of totally get wrapped up in it.
Yeah.
And so then that I've kind of started thinking, okay, what can I do to scale back so that so that I can be, my best self for me, for
Right.
other people. I can, continue to help more people. And
Right. Do you think that he helps pull you out of that? Because because his job is, what does he do?
well, he works for Bridgestone and,
Okay.
and is an executive director for Bridgestone. So, I mean,
Okay.
he also has a similar, it's, I mean, it's a very like high stress, crazy
Yeah.
job. So I think that, but he's also, I think we kind of see that in each other, which makes us a good match too. And when one of us is kind of pulling in or, doing too much,
Right.
the other one will kind of say, hey, let's like, take a day or a couple hours. Let's
rein
go
it in
for
a
a
little
walk,
bit.
whatever that looks like.
I-
I think that has been the one thing that, whether it's, work related or not,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I feel very lucky because we just balance each other out very well.
That's so cool.
Mm-hmm.
And so again, like, and this is what I've talked about before, if you've ever listened to any of the episodes, but we always go through this, but it's like, they were always like, oh, you want somebody that's like, like a trainer, this or that, like whatever, and when it was bodybuilding, like, oh, you want a bodybuilder, oh, and a strongman, oh, you want a strongman, it's like, no, like, it's like you want someone that's in the healthy lifestyle. So you met
Right.
with CrossFit, so you obviously know,
Yeah.
they gotta be a little crazy, right?
Yeah.
And then because it's,
Yes.
it is a lot, but dedication, and health mindset. But then on top of that, then it's like, but he has his own thing, like
Oh, yeah,
and,
totally.
and it doesn't. Not like impose on you, but like it's not that he's like, oh, well, why aren't you doing this? Or like
Right.
you're kind of like, hey, this is like my wheelhouse. This is your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
You rock with it. I'll support in the best way I can. Vice versa. So I like that
Yeah.
because I do feel like for me, it would be somebody that's like, hey, pull back, or like, hey, let's go here, like, and that can kind of balance and stuff. So, do you find that, like, is he good about helping with, like, date nights? Is he like, oh, we have this like social thing, we have like friends, let's go do this, like, to kind of help you when you're just like, I'm exhausted, I don't want to do anything?
Yeah, I mean, I find too, like the longer we've been together, and I think especially now, like that both of us have I mean, we both have very like social jobs, so it is kind of hard. I feel like just like in the last couple of years, it's kind of hard to get us out of the house.
Yeah, y'all are
because
in your space.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, because we, I mean, he is traveling a lot, presenting and doing all this stuff in front of people, and obviously my life is, people, I'm
Right.
in the gym or I'm out, doing events or just like, talking and meeting people. And so it's like sometimes when we are at home together, then
Yeah.
we're just like, oh, this is so amazing.
Right. No, I get that, and I like that
And
a
it
lot.
also, he loves to cook. That is his like, yeah, I know.
Because he's Italian, right?
Yes.
Ah,
So yeah, he loves to
yeah.
cook, and that's like kind of his stress relief.
Oh,
Which
fantastic.
is perfect for me because
Yep.
I love to eat.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you're like,
yeah,
it
we're a
works out.
match made in heaven.
I love that.
Yeah. So it's kind of, so I just find I kind of, and we still will, we still go out and do things, and
Yeah.
especially now too that, and I think he's starting to find little pockets where he's like, yeah, I need to like make, we're both finding we need to make time for ourselves and then for us together.
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like we've,
Yeah.
we're all 9 years in and probably
Yeah.
had like a fight. I mean,
Wow. That's
knock on wood again.
Yeah, knock on wood. I love it.
Yeah, we've just always, when we were dating and through, 9 years of marriage, have just been super open and willing to talk about anything.
And that's huge.
Even if it's like doesn't feel
Uncomfortable.
amazing, but. And then like maybe we talk about something and we need to like take a break and walk away for a little while from each
yeah.
other, and that's okay.
Right.
But just like talk it out.
Yeah. Don't
Be
leave it.
honest.
Yes. I
And
love
then,
that.
Work through it together.
Yeah. No, that's huge. So there was something I was going to bring up that, like usually I'm really good at like reading people's energies and everything like that. And when I was, at Prairie Life and everything, when I had seen you, like I never picked up on, and it could have been that you were like hiding it, or maybe you just were, I don't know. But, and I want to know, honestly, like, because at that time I saw a lot of the girls that we were around and people just with a lot of insecurities, a lot of like kind of negativity or like a negative outlook on body image, just all the things. What was your, like back then, let's look, so however many years ago, you know what I mean? That was of yourself. Like, cause like as a personal trainer, you know what I mean? And you're like working with this elderly kind of clientele and stuff like that. Like what was kind of your perspective of you? Like, were you like, yeah, I love everything I got going on. I feel good. I feel whatever. Or was it like, I'm not the stereotypical, size, whatever? Or like, were you ever put into any of those boxes?
I feel like I'm definitely have never been in a stereotypical, whatever that is, a trainer is supposed to look like or be like, I don't know. But I have always just tried to be like healthy.
Yeah.
And whatever that, in different phases that looks different, and that's okay.
Right.
I mean, honestly, right now, I mean, I feel like personally, I'm at, totally vulnerable. I'm at, the heaviest weight I've ever been at in my life. But also that is coming from, just, I think, overworking myself a little bit and not taking care of me. Hence why I have made the decision to like step back a little bit.
Yeah.
And then also just, I'm about to turn 45 and things don't metabolize the same way. And, but that, it is what it is. My friends still love me. My clients and members still love me and appreciate me.
Right.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
Like, do I have days where I feel like, sure.
And we all do.
Yeah, everybody
real,
does.
That's realistic.
Yeah, totally. But like, I always just try to have the mentality that I just like we just need to focus on our health over everything.
Right.
Like, this, like, the physical body will come,
Yes,
or maybe it won't, I don't know.
yeah
Whatever, but it's just like, let's just focus on being, mentally and physically as healthy as we can be,
no matter what that looks like.
And it will probably look different
yes
throughout different stages of our life, and that's okay.
Yeah, no, for sure. I love that. Thank you for answering that. Because, like I said, it's and I just want to personally say, because for those of you who aren't watching on YouTube, you should be watching on YouTube. But anyway, because Jodi's beautiful, and I just was looking at you today. I'm just like, you always have looked just so beautiful to me, and
thank you.
and just So, and that's again, I would have never have thought about like what you said about the weight, or that you were like, what I mean, kind of struggling with that right now and stuff like that. And so it just goes to show you that the things that we perceive as like the huge things, and that like everybody, that we're like, oh, everyone totally notices this or thinks this or whatever. It's like, that's not even what's going on in their mind. Like, I'm just over here being like, oh my gosh, like, you just always look so just beautiful. And I love it. And like, just amazing. So I love getting to speak with you, and I can't believe you get to see the house and you got to see everything.
I know, finally. I feel bad it's taken so long, but
no, and
just life is crazy, and
right. Well, and that's the thing too, is like, I talk to all my entrepreneur friends and everybody that like, I joke about it. I'm like, this is our hangout. Yeah. You know what I mean? On air, like on whatever. And because it's just, and that's on part like with whenever the autoimmune stuff happened, like, like I had a really hard time because naturally I'm very positive and have a high energy, right? Yeah. But like, it just like tanked me to where like I couldn't really get off the couch. It was super challenging. Like, there's so many things I was dealing with that I'd never dealt with before. And that was super scary. So I just kind of resorted to being like here. Like, I was just here because I'm like, oh, the podcast is here. My clients are here. So like, I don't need to get out. Right. I don't need to go see my family. I don't need to go see whatever. It's like, but I did, and needed to go to church and all these things. And just was like, I'll do the bare minimum, like in terms of like just to make it. Right. Yeah. So I'm coming out of that, and have been coming out of that over this past year. And, which has been super liberating, super exciting, and into this new season of stuff. And actually going to go, I'm taking my first little like, it's not even, I don't want to say it's a vacation. It's not. It's a day trip, but I'm going up to Cedar Point, and I'm so excited. I've never been.
Yeah.
And this is like my bucket list, okay? So I've wanted to go since I was a little girl, and same with my best friend who met me through Dandy Fitness, actually. But anyway, but now she's like one of my best friends, and she had always wanted to go. We grew up similarly, but she grew up in Indiana. So Jordan, she's been on the podcast for those who are listening, and she has always wanted to go too. So it's like cool. It's like both of our bucket list thing. So we're gonna like drive through the night, get there, go all day long. So when this airs, I'll have already gone and everybody will see all the craziness and whatever. But like, I'm just so excited for that, you know? And, but I wasn't gonna be able to do that if I had a show coming up.
Right.
Like, cause I was supposed to have a show and like, and whatever. And I had to decide to put my health first.
Yeah.
And genuinely not feel bad about that or feel any type of way about it or like because I pivoted and whatever. And it was like because nobody else is gonna have to deal with the stuff that I'm gonna have to deal with if I pursue this. You know what I mean? At this time.
Yeah.
And so there was something that God just kept telling me like, hey, like you gotta listen to your body, like you gotta listen to like what's going on. We gotta kind of pivot and figure it out.
Sometimes like it feels so hard coming out, but like you just gotta say no.
Yes.
You just gotta.
Yeah.
I mean that. We need to say that probably more in, all aspects.
Well, I never did. I never did for so many years because I was like, I got to stay relevant. I got to stay in it. I got to stay, whatever.
Well, and I think as like females, well, as a woman anyways, but just like females in the fitness industry too, like you really do think you have to do every single thing to, like you said, stay relevant or, be seen, be out there, whatever.
Right.
And sometimes like it's just enough is enough and you gotta say no occasionally.
Right.
And that's okay.
But see, and that's the thing too though, is that like I think that I was like hard no on everything. Yeah. And I was like, I'm not doing anything. So that even with friends, And so that's where it was super upsetting because I was like, it's then when I think about it, I'm like, oh, I don't really have that many friends. And then I'm like, but like you do. Yeah. But like you just have to, like I wasn't in the capacity to do that. So now it's like, I want to be healthy enough to go to a roller coaster park. I want to be healthy enough to do just anything. Like, and ran a 5K a few weeks back, like randomly, like hadn't done that in 4 years. Like, and so it's just like, that is what I've always wanted, And so it kind of got away from that a little bit. And, because it can be a lot of pressure, Think
about this just like kind of popped into my head because you were saying, you had an autoimmune disease. Like think about how difficult it's been for you to work through that and get back to, feeling how you wanted to feel. Think about someone who wasn't in the fitness industry, know, and how they would feel not having that like super high energy, love for fitness, love for all the things to come back to. So it's like that, even though that was, probably super difficult for you, like what a learning experience that you can now take and use to help people with the same that are going through the same thing.
And I do have that. Yeah. And I have a lot of girls with autoimmune issues and just a bunch of different health things that like you never know until you're in it. And then you're like, oh, wow. And I really do think that that's God's way of being like, here's a new perspective. Because at first it felt like, wow, you're stripping me from everything.
Right.
You're taking this away. You're taking this, with grief and loss and all these different things that happened.
Right.
And then it was just like, there's nothing left. Like, you know what I mean? Like, what is there? And it's just like, I have to just be a servant my whole life. It was kind of, I was super negative about it. And then I was like, okay, let's change that inflection. Like, I get to be a servant my whole life. Right. And look at it. And from that perspective of like, wow, what a like gift it actually is. And being okay and not resentful for not having that like support back. Cause those gyms do come back. Yeah. And I talk about that all the time, like in the ways that you never think that they're going to come, whether it was someone like messaged you directly or someone, wrote you a nice letter or someone sends you flowers or whatever it might be, and you're like, oh man, like, okay, that's so cool, or even like you acknowledging that we haven't talked in forever, but noticing that like, oh, you're out here hustling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's cool. And like being like that you actually are like taking pride in your brand and, and stuff like that. And so that means a lot. Because you know what I mean? Because it's sometimes I feel like we get a little bit just bogged down with all of it because it's a lot. It's the negativity, the things that kind of hit us. Whether it's because we're female or we're younger or we're whatever it might be. And sometimes you're like, man, it's too heavy. Like I can't do it on my own, but like you're not. because God is there and he is there to help lift that.
Yeah.
But I have to, I remind myself constantly that like, it's not about asking him to take away the stuff, but helping me be strong in those moments
Totally.
and putting out that like force of like, kind of, I do it as my like, not invisibility cloak, but like that, like, what's it called? Like that force field.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? To where it's like, no, like back up. Like we're not doing this, and not letting it affect every single part, So what is something that, okay, you're on this new season and you're super excited about it, which I love it and everything. And, is there, like, are you wanting to travel and go to somewhere fun? Have y'all been able to do that in a long time? Like, what is something like, do you like travel? Or are you more like, okay.
Yeah. We are really, we're planning on, going back to Italy next year for our 10-year anniversary.
Awesome.
So super excited about that.
I love that.
And yeah, I think that's part of like, maybe not like, I mean, yes, that is a big trip and maybe it's not like doing a bunch of like, big trips or anything, but just like taking time to do, having the time and taking the time to do things that, make us happy, bring us closer together, help us appreciate where we are in our, season of life right now. And just, I don't know, I think that's the key. It's like just appreciating what we, where we are and what we have.
I love that. And so is his family still all there or is he?
He actually does have some family in Italy still. And so not that I don't think that he like, has talked to them, but, we are going to try to go see. He's from his family ancestors are from Bari, which is like the heel of the boot.
Okay, cool. I love that.
So we are going to try to go there for the, and experience that. But
that's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Okay. But I think too, like, it's just like being able to like, we enjoy like little day trip stuff too. Like, we'll drive to Gatlinburg for just like a weekend. If there's nothing going on or, we'll schedule, just like, okay, let's just pick a direction. And that's actually something we started doing when we lived in Boise, Idaho.
Okay. Gotcha.
Is, he was traveling a lot for work when we had, moved out there. We were in Seattle first.
Right.
And he was coming to Boise a lot anyway. So Bridgestone was like, hey, we'll just move you to Boise.
Yeah.
And so then once we were there, he was finding he wasn't having to travel quite as much.
Nice.
So then we started saying, okay, like there's so much cool stuff here. Like, let's just pick a direction and just drive and see what happens. So we would just throw the dogs in the car and
I love that.
Just take a little family trip for,
That's
a day
awesome.
trip or whatever. So we enjoy doing stuff like that and want
Yeah.
to start doing that kind of stuff again too.
I gotcha. And then so your sister, you said, is still in Kansas.
Mm-hmm.
And then are your parents
Well, my dad passed away
Okay.
about 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago.
Okay.
But my mom is still in Kansas too. So yeah, she's actually coming out here. We're going to a wedding in Orange Beach, Alabama in October.
Oh, nice.
And she's gonna come out here, and I don't know that I'm trying to remember if she has never been to the beach or just hasn't been since she was a kid, and she just turned 70. So
wow.
So we are
This is gonna
taking
be
Mama
awesome.
to the beach.
I love it. That's gonna be great.
Yeah,
That's
so
gonna be
we're really
cool.
excited. So she's gonna come with us. We're bringing our dog. We're gonna drive down there. We're getting a little beach house, and so we'll have like some cool family time, and then do the wedding and stuff too. And
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, I love that.
Yeah.
How were you able to because with your dad's progression of cancer, you kind of, was it like you knew it was coming and you were prepared, or did it just happen and you were just kind of taken back?
All of it. Yes,
all
all
of
of
it.
it.
Gotcha.
We did. I mean, so he was diagnosed with a brain cancer.
Oh, wow.
And kind of random, like my sister had gone back home just to like figure out her life,
Yeah.
She was helping him like clean out some stuff in the house. And they were moving furniture, and he tripped and fell down the stairs.
Oh, wow.
And was fine, but they were like, oh, we better, let's just go make sure you don't have a concussion.
Yeah.
And the doctor said, well, you don't have a concussion, but there's something else going on.
Oh my gosh.
And that's basically how we found out he had brain cancer. So,
Oh man.
which was initially skin cancer. We, found out a little bit later he'd had skin cancer. He had it removed. They said because of where the skin cancer was on his neck, they had suggested doing like some radiation at that time because they thought it's close to the lymph nodes. It could have. And my dad was like, no, I'm not doing that. So PSA for getting, yourself checked for skin cancer like that, it can just affect other things. So,
oh man.
Yeah. So he had a skin cancer that metastasized to a lymph node, and then that went to his brain.
Oh my gosh.
So they initially gave him like 6 months to 2 years to live.
Wow.
And so I think that like Tony and I kind of like sped up. Like we already knew we were going to get married. Like when that, and this is a crazy sidebar. The day that I was like, I took a conference call with the doctor, my dad, and my sister, to like, he was going to basically like let us know everything that was going on after they said, oh, I think there's, something going on. I took that conference call in the parking lot of our CrossFit gym.
Oh, wow.
Found everything out, went in, started the workout.
Are you serious?
Broke down crying in the middle of it. He came out to the parking lot with me. I told him what happened. And at that moment, like he said, well, my mom had the same thing.
Oh my gosh.
And so instantly, and then over the next couple of weeks, he kind of like got on the phone with my sister and my mom and was like, here's some things that happened with my mom. And, so we just like instantly in that moment, I think honestly, like we already kind of knew that we're kind of meant for each other, but that like solidified it. Yeah. Cause who's going to get on the phone with your mom and like talk you through like cancer, I don't know. It was anyways. So sidebar. Yeah. But anyway, so they initially gave my dad like 6 months to 2 years to live. And so we kind of sped up cause we really wanted him to be able to come to the wedding. And, I think also part of my sister taking care of him and just was always a big advocate for my dad with our doctors and everything. Like there were a lot of times where different doctors would say, oh yeah, this is just how it's going to be. And she was always like, sometimes it felt like it was too much, but she was just always like, no, I'm not taking no for an answer. Right. We have to figure out something else. I'm with him all the time. I know this is right or not right. And so he ended up living for almost 9 years, like 8.5 years. Yeah. And the unfortunate part of having brain cancer is you have to do all that, do that treatment, and that he ended up developing dementia from that. And that's really what, cause he ended up becoming cancer free at some point. Oh, okay. So he was able to get rid of it. But it just kind of takes its toll.
Did he remember like you guys, or was it more
at the very end? He did not. So it was really hard. He almost always remembered my sister. I think just because they were there all the time. Yeah. But there were, I think because we knew where it was going, my dad and I had, a conversation a couple of times, just like kind of saying all the things we wanted to say, because we knew it was going to be that point, at some point. So I do feel like I kind of like, once we knew he had been officially diagnosed with like dementia, we knew where that was going, and I kind of almost started the grieving process a little bit sooner, where my sister didn't get to, because she was still in it, taking care of him every day. Yeah.
I gotcha.
So,
well, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. I just, was wondering about how that, kind of shaped, just even like, with your mindset, I believe with health in general, you know what I mean? Like that it is such a priority. Yeah. And that, because you don't know. Right. You don't know when you're going to go into, it's not to live in fear for anyone listening and watching, whatever, but you really, like, one day I had autoimmune disorder, or one day I didn't have it, and then the next day I did.
Right.
Or like,
my dad was always such an advocate for health, and like, he always wanted to try all the new things. If something was going to help him, have better skin
Yeah.
or, be healthier internally or what. Like he was always
Right.
like, hey, let's try that juice cleanse. Hey, let's do
Right.
like, super beets. Okay, let's try it. Like he was just
Yeah.
literally like that person that was like, he just really, and he loved being active. He actually was a semi-professional baseball player back in the, before, we were born or whatever. And so he was also always, and maybe that's where I kind of get my love for health and fitness, is that, he was always really into that, and just like whatever the crazy thing was, like, let's just give it a shot because it might give us a couple more years or months or whatever.
I love
and so I do think that probably helped him, fight cancer for, and take that 2-year diagnosis and make it 8.5,
which is huge. I love that so much. Oh, well,
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I'm sure you knew how proud he was of you, and just,
I think so. Yeah.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
You've always been somebody that like I said, when I look back at that, I'm like, which is could be a good thing and a bad thing, because, but like that I look at it as like very grounded.
Yeah.
But then also that means that sometimes I think people will look at, I don't know how people see me. I don't care. But like in terms of like, that I'm always that they're like, oh, she's good. I don't need to ask or need to, check in or things like that. So I think sometimes maybe you get put in that box too, where they're like, oh, well, Joey's got it. Like she's doing everything.
Yes.
She's doing great. So I always just kind of want to like check in and be like, how are things? Like, how are you? And
I think it's so nice, because you're right. Like I think people, because you are just like, we are just kind of like on the go and happy and healthy and taking, helping everyone. It's like, it is kind of nice when somebody's like, hey, how are you doing?
Yes, exactly. So so seriously. And so, and I really do mean that, like, and I'm trying to do my best to be more intentional about relationships and things like that.
Yes.
And so I've told people, I'm like, if you ever need to come over, or if people, if y'all ever want to hang out, or I would love to meet your bulldoggy. I don't say little, he's a big bulldog, but like,
he's a big boy.
And I think it's so sweet, and I like love doggies now. So like little doggies, so like not little, but like, no, I don't like German shepherds and those ones. Those scare me. You know what I mean? Shut up, Logan. It's like there's this dog across the street. I'm talking about Louie, and he's like a little like pug, and like me and him are super cool. So like I'll see him out and I'll be like, Louie, and he'll be like, and he'll look up at me, and then we just like have a conversation. We go back and forth like every day, and he just like makes my whole life. It's so sad. I know, but
she does not have time for a dog.
That's
I'm going to tell you that right now.
But like, it's just one of those things where I see him, and he like makes my whole freaking day, and it's so funny. And anyway, and so, but the whole point of saying that was that like, that I genuinely, or even a walk, like sometimes me and my friends who own businesses, like, we'll just meet up at the park and we'll go for a walk, because that's all we have time for. We ain't got time to do nothing else, whatever. Get moving in, all this stuff. And so I feel like in the fitness community, especially the females, a lot of, people are stuck in that. They're still going out and drinking and doing the whole, even the trainers and whatever, and like just doing like what's the trendy thing or whatever. I don't want to feel like I have to be forced to go do something like that. So I want to make it like a very like open form of like, if people want to like just chill or just like talk, like that's totally fine. Yeah. We don't have to go do elaborate things and be extravagant or whatever. You know what I mean? There's time and a place for those.
Stuff for the gram.
But exactly. Yeah. So it's just kind of like, that's how I look at it. And so I want you to know that I would love to do any of that stuff with you.
That's such a good idea. And I've just recently started doing that too with a couple of my like fellow like business woman friends, is like doing like walking meetings, like just like instead of like going out for drinks or whatever, like hey, let's just like meet at McCabe and like take a walk and catch up.
Well, because it's super overwhelming, because for me especially is like I don't have like real people clothes, you know what I mean? Like I have like a couple, but like I don't have like nice stuff. So when these like women business events, I'm like, bruh, the last thing I want to do is put on a freaking suit or look like whatever. When like
I just go in my
when I'm just like
clothes. This is what it is.
Exactly.
Sorry.
And no, but seriously. And so, but anyway, so we'll talk more about that after this stuff. But like, I would love to do something like that.
Yeah.
But also, I ask everybody at the end of the podcast, what is something that you love about your body today?
I love that it has gotten me to 45 years old.
Yes, I love that too. I love it. And you look great, like I said. So you got an energy about you. You can tell you're just excited. And I think you're in this like self-care era, which is good. And I can't wait to see all the amazing things you continue to do. And yeah, we'll keep everybody posted and stuff. So it'll be
Thanks,
good.
girl.
Yeah.
I know. It's right back at you. I feel like that's one thing that I've just really have been, like I said at the beginning, like one thing that like brings me joy is to see people that I have worked with, like go on and do all these, awesome things. And you have literally like just run the gamut of super cool fitness related and non-fitness related things. So good job, girl.
I appreciate that. That means so much, Jodi. Thank you so much. And until next time.